Captain Jack Miller stood on the bridge of the Earth patrol ship Vigilant, staring at the stars through the main view screen. It was supposed to be a simple mission. Patrol the outer edge of the solar system, check on the automated monitoring stations, and return to Earth. Nothing exciting ever happened on these patrols. Until today. "Sir, we're picking up unusual readings," said Officer Ryan Ellis, his eyes fixed on the sensor display. "Multiple objects emerging from what appears to be some kind of warp points." Jack moved to the sensor station and looked over Ryan's shoulder. "How many objects?" "Hundreds, sir, and they're big." The entire bridge crew fell silent. Humanity had developed limited space travel capabilities over the past century, establishing colonies on Mars and research stations throughout the solar system, but they had never encountered other intelligent life. At least, that's what most people believed. "Battle stations," Jack ordered. "Alert Earth Defense Command immediately." The alarm blared throughout the ship as crew members rushed to their positions. The Vigilant wasn't a warship, it was a patrol vessel with minimal weapons. If those readings were hostile aliens, they were in serious trouble. "Captain, we're receiving a transmission," said Communications Officer Lisa Parks. "It's not in any language I recognize, but the computer is attempting to translate." "Put it on screen," Jack said. The view screen flickered, and an alien face appeared. The creature had gray-blue skin, 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern, and what appeared to be breathing gills on the sides of its neck. It wore an elaborate uniform with symbols that Jack assumed indicated military rank. "Attention, primitive vessel," the alien said, the words slightly out of sync with its mouth movements as the translation software struggled to keep up. "I am Admiral Zikatar of the Galactic Hegemony. Your system is now under our control. Transmit. Your surrender immediately, or be destroyed." Jack kept his face neutral despite the shock and fear running through him. "This is Captain Jack Miller of the Earth Alliance patrol ship Vigilant. We are on a peaceful mission within our own system. We have no hostile intentions toward your fleet." The alien made a sound that might have been laughter. "Earth Alliance? Our scans show your species has barely managed to reach your own moon. You have no alliance, no fleet worthy of the name. You are a Class 3 species, barely space-capable. Your planet will serve the hegemony now." "Admiral, I suggest we discuss this diplomatically," Jack said, trying to buy time. "Perhaps we can arrange a meeting with our leaders." "There is nothing to discuss. You have 48 Earth hours to surrender your planet. After that, we begin orbital bombardment." The transmission cut off. "Send all sensor data to Earth Defense Command," Jack ordered. "Maximum speed back to Earth. We need to warn them." 6 hours. Later, Jack sat in the emergency briefing room at Earth Defense Headquarters, buried deep beneath the Rocky Mountains. The room was filled with military leaders, scientists, and government officials, all wearing expressions of shock and fear. "The alien fleet has taken up positions throughout our system," General Amy Wright said, pointing to the holographic display. "They outnumber our space forces by at least 50 to 1, and their technology appears to be centuries ahead of what we publicly acknowledge." "Publicly acknowledge?" asked the President of the United States, Samantha Powell. "What does that mean?" General Wright looked at Commodore Susan Grant, who nodded slowly. "Madam President, members of the Council," Susan said as she stood, "for the past 50 years, a select group within the Earth governments has been keeping a secret. In 2083, we recovered an alien scout ship that crashed in the Gobi Desert. The ship was damaged but largely intact, and we were able to reverse engineer much of its technology." Murmurs filled the room. Jack watched with growing surprise. He had heard rumors throughout his military career, but had dismissed them as conspiracy theories. "We didn't just study this technology," Susan continued. "We improved upon it. While we maintained the appearance of limited space capability, we've actually been building a defense fleet in secret facilities beyond Neptune. We have ships, Madam President, real warships with capabilities that may even exceed those of the hegemony." "And you're just telling us this now?" the President asked, her voice tight with anger. "The program was classified at the highest levels. Only those with direct involvement knew the full extent. We were preparing to reveal everything next year once the fleet was complete." Is it combat ready? Asked the Chinese premier. Our flagship is, Susan said. The USS Defiant. It's fully operational and has completed all testing phases. One ship against hundreds? The Russian president scoffed. The Defiant isn't like anything they've seen before, Susan said. It's 3 generations ahead of the technology they're displaying. Our scientists took their principles and created something entirely new. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Captain Miller, Susan said, turning to Jack. Your encounter with the hegemony showed remarkable composure and tactical thinking. You're one of our best patrol captains, and you've already faced these aliens. I'm offering you command of the Defiant. Jack's mouth went dry. Commodore, I'm a patrol captain. I've never commanded a warship. No one has commanded a ship like the Defiant, Susan replied. But you understand first contact situations, and you've faced the enemy. That's experience we need. Jack looked around the room at the expectant faces. This morning he had been a simple patrol captain. Now, humanity's survival might depend on him. I accept, Commodore, he said finally. 3 hours later, Jack stood in the shuttle bay of a secret space station hidden in Neptune's orbit. Before him stood the most amazing ship he had ever seen. The USS Defiant was unlike any vessel in Earth's public fleet. Instead of the boxy, functional design of patrol ships and cargo vessels, the Defiant was sleek and predatory. Its dark hull seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it, and subtle blue energy pulsed along recessed lines that ran the length of the ship. She's beautiful, Jack whispered. And deadly, said a voice behind him. Jack turned to see a tall man in an engineer's uniform approaching. Alan Foster, chief engineer, she's my baby. 17 quantum displacement engines, adaptive nanomaterial hull that can self-repair, and weapon systems that will make the hegemony wet themselves, if they have that capability. Jack smiled, despite himself. That good, huh? Better, Alan said with a grin. Wait until you meet Lieutenant Kate Dawson. She designed the main weapon system, the gravity lance. It's a game changer. Jack looked back at the ship that would either save humanity or witness its last stand. She's not much to look at yet, he said quietly, but something tells me they'll remember her name. Jack followed engineer Alan Foster through the USS Defiant's corridors. Unlike the cramped hallways of patrol ships, the Defiant's passages were wide and well lit with soft blue lighting. Crew members moved with purpose, their faces a mix of pride and tension. This is the command center, Alan said as they entered a large circular room. Jack paused, taking it all in. The bridge was nothing like the utilitarian command centers of Earth's public fleet. Holographic displays floated in the air, showing the positions of the hegemony vessels. The captain's chair sat on a raised platform in the center, surrounded by workstations arranged in a semicircle. Captain on deck, someone called, and the bridge crew snapped to attention. At ease, Jack said, feeling slightly uncomfortable with the formality. We don't have time for ceremony. I need to know everything about this ship, and I need to know it now. A woman with short blonde hair approached. Lieutenant Kate Dawson, weapons officer, she said, offering her hand. I've prepared a briefing on our offensive capabilities. And I'm Commander Olivia Cruz, your first officer and communications specialist, said another woman with a confident smile. The crew is fully assembled and ready for your orders, Captain. Jack nodded. Let's start with those weapons, Lieutenant. Kate led them to a tactical display. Our main weapon is what we call the gravity lance, she explained, bringing up a diagram. It creates a temporary increase in gravitational force in a targeted area. We can increase the mass of a section of an enemy ship by a factor of thousands. What happens then? Jack asked. The affected area collapses inward, tearing the ship apart from within, Kate said simply. It's precise, efficient, and there's no known defense against it. Because no one else has this technology? Exactly. It's based on principles from the alien ship we recovered, but the application is entirely human. We saw what they were trying to do and took it 3 steps further. Jack turned to Alan. And our defenses? The hull is composed of adaptive nanomaterials that can self-repair, the engineer explained. We also have a displacement field that can briefly shift the ship partially out of normal spacetime, allowing incoming fire to pass through us. Jack raised his eyebrows. So we can become ghost-like? For very short periods, yes. It consumes enormous power. And our engines. The hegemony ships are faster than anything in our public fleet. Alan smiled proudly. Quantum displacement drive. We don't move through space in the conventional sense. We disconnect from one point in space-time and reconnect at another. It's instantaneous from an outside perspective. Jack took a deep breath. The technology was far beyond what he had imagined possible. How long until we're ready to engage the hegemony fleet? We're ready now, Captain, Olivia said. Just waiting for your orders. We should contact Commodore Grant first, Jack decided. I want to know the official response to the hegemony's ultimatum. Minutes later, Commodore Susan Grant's face appeared on the main screen. Captain Miller, I see you're getting acquainted with your new command. Yes, Commodore, the ship exceeds all expectations. What's Earth's official response to the hegemony? Susan's expression hardened. The Security Council has decided to play for time. We're sending a message accepting their invitation to discuss surrender terms, requesting a face-to-face meeting in 36 hours. But we're not actually surrendering, Jack said. It wasn't a question. Of course not. We need time to evacuate key personnel to our off-world colonies and secure vital infrastructure against orbital bombardment. Your mission is to demonstrate our capabilities and force the hegemony to reconsider their position. You want us to attack their fleet? Jack asked, surprised. Not the entire fleet. A surgical strike against their command ships. Show them what the Defiant can do, then offer them a chance to withdraw if they refuse. She left the implication hanging. Understood, Commodore. When do we move? They've positioned their fleet in a defensive formation around Jupiter. Their main command ship is on the far side. We think they're using the planet's magnetic field to mask some kind of communication with their homeworld. Hit them in 18 hours. That should give us time to complete the most critical evacuations. We'll be ready, Jack promised. After the communication ended, Jack turned to his bridge crew. You heard the Commodore. We have 18 hours to prepare. I want combat drills, system checks, and tactical simulations running continuously until then. Captain, Kate said, most of the crew has never seen actual combat. They've trained in simulations. But this will be different, Jack nodded. I know. That's why we're going to run every possible scenario between now and our engagement time. Commander Cruz, please inform all department heads to meet in the briefing room in 30 minutes. As the crew dispersed to their duties, Jack stood alone at the tactical display, studying the hegemony fleet. Their ships were arranged in a classic defensive pattern around what appeared to be their command vessel, a massive ship at least 5 times the size of the Defiant. Worried? Alan asked, coming to stand beside him. Concerned, Jack corrected. We have amazing technology, but they have numbers and experience. They've conquered hundreds of worlds. We've never fought a space battle. True, Alan admitted, but they've never fought humans. 16 hours later, Jack sat in the captain's chair as the Defiant moved silently toward Jupiter. They had run countless simulations, and the crew had performed admirably. Now it was time for the real test. All stations report ready, Captain, Olivia said from her position. Weapon systems online and calibrated, Kate added. Gravity lance at full charge. Displacement drive functioning at optimal levels, Alan reported from engineering. We can make 5 jumps before needing to recharge the system. Jack nodded. Tactical, show me the target zone. The holographic display shifted to show Jupiter's massive form. Highlighted around it were the hegemony vessels, over 200 ships of various sizes with the massive command ship positioned behind the gas giant. Their sensors haven't detected us yet, said Ryan Ellis, who had transferred from the Vigilant to serve as the Defiant's sensor officer. Our stealth systems are working perfectly. Good, Jack said. Remember the plan. We jump in, take out their communication array with conventional weapons, target their engines with the gravity lance, then offer them a chance to withdraw. We don't want to destroy their command ship if we can avoid it. Jump coordinates locked in, said the navigation officer. Ready on your command. Jack took a deep breath. This was humanity's first true space battle, and the stakes couldn't be higher. Everything they knew about the hegemony suggested they wouldn't back down easily. The demonstration would need to be convincing. All hands, prepare for combat, Jack announced over the ship-wide communication system. Remember your training. Remember what we're fighting for. He paused, then gave the order that would change the course of human history forever. Engage displacement drive. Take us in. The stars blurred, and reality seemed to fold around them. For a fraction of a second, the Defiant existed everywhere and nowhere at once. Then suddenly they were there, directly behind the hegemony command ship, weapons ready, and the element of surprise on their side. The Defiant materialized behind the massive hegemony command ship, its sudden appearance causing no immediate reaction from the enemy. For 3 crucial seconds, the human vessel hung in space, undetected by the alien fleet. Target acquired, Kate said, her fingers dancing over the weapons console. Communications array locked. Fire conventional weapons, Jack ordered. The Defiant's pulse cannons unleashed a barrage of energy that struck the hegemony command ship's communication array with surgical precision. The structure erupted in a shower of metal and energy. Direct hit, Kate confirmed. Their primary communications are down. Alarms suddenly blared across the bridge as the hegemony ship's sensors finally detected them. They're powering weapons, Ryan reported from the sensor station. Multiple ships are breaking formation and moving to intercept. They're confused, Olivia said, monitoring enemy communications. They're asking each other what happened. They don't believe it's a human ship. Jack allowed himself a small smile. Let's confirm it for them. Open a channel, all frequencies. Channel open, Olivia confirmed. This is Captain Jack Miller of the Earth Alliance Battleship Defiant. Your ships have entered our sovereign territory and threatened our planet with destruction. We have demonstrated a fraction of our capabilities by disabling your communications array. Withdraw your forces immediately, or we will be forced to continue this demonstration. On the tactical display, Jack watched as smaller hegemony vessels rushed to protect their command ship. A destroyer-class vessel moved into position between the Defiant and the command ship. No response, Captain, Olivia reported. But they're coordinating their ships to surround us. As expected, Jack said. Lieutenant Dawson, target the destroyer's engine section with the gravity lance. Minimal power setting. Gravity lance targeted and charged at 20% power, Kate confirmed. Ready to fire on your command. Jack took a deep breath. Fire. There was no visible beam, no dramatic explosion. Instead, a section of the destroyer's hull simply collapsed inward as if crushed by an invisible hand. The effect spread outward from the impact point, and the ship's rear quarter folded in on itself like paper being crumpled. Enemy vessel disabled, Ryan reported. Their engine core is offline, life support system still functioning. Target a second vessel, Jack ordered. Same settings. The bridge crew worked with quiet efficiency as the Defiant's gravity lance struck another hegemony ship, crushing its weapon systems beyond repair. Captain, Ryan said urgently. 5 vessels are moving to firing positions. Energy readings. Indicate weapon charge. Evasive maneuvers, Jack ordered. Alan, prepare for a displacement jump on my mark. The Defiant banked sharply as energy beams lanced through space where it had been moments before. One beam grazed the ship's hull, causing a slight vibration. Minor hit on our port side, Alan reported from engineering. Nanomaterials already. Repairing. No significant damage. Their weapons are more powerful than our simulations predicted, Kate noted, adjusting her displays, but still within our defensive capabilities. Jack studied the tactical display. The hegemony ships were regrouping, adopting a more organized attack pattern. They're adapting quickly, he observed. Time to show them something new. Alan, displacement jump to coordinates Alpha 3. Displacement drive energizing, Alan confirmed. The world around them shimmered as the Defiant disconnected from its position in spacetime and reappeared directly above the hegemony command ship. Multiple targets in range, Kate reported. Gravity. Lance recharged. Target their primary weapon systems, Jack ordered. 30% power. The gravity lance fired again, this time striking the command ship's main weapons array. The massive cannon imploded, metal and energy collapsing inward in a spectacular demonstration of the weapon's power. Direct hit, Kate confirmed. Their main weapons are offline. They're launching fighter craft, Ryan warned. 12 small vessels deploying from the command ship's hangar bays. Defensive systems to full, Jack ordered. Prepare point defense weapons. The fighters approached rapidly, their smaller size making them more maneuverable than the capital. Ships. They fired a barrage of energy weapons that splashed against the Defiant's defensive field. Displacement field holding, Allen reported. But it's draining power quickly. We can't maintain it against sustained fire. We don't need to, Jack said. Target the lead fighters with conventional weapons. The Defiant's pulse cannons fired, striking 2 of the approaching fighters. They exploded in brief flashes of light. The remaining fighters are breaking off, Ryan reported. They're retreating to the command ship. Captain, Olivia called out. We're receiving a transmission from the Hegemony command ship. On screen, Jack ordered. Admiral Zikatar appeared on the main display, his 4 eyes narrowed in what Jack interpreted as a mix of rage and disbelief. This is impossible, the Admiral said. Your species is primitive. You cannot possess this technology. As you can see, Admiral, we are full of surprises, Jack replied calmly. We have disabled your communications array and your main weapon systems. We could have destroyed your ship, but chose not to. I suggest you reconsider your plans for our planet. You have 1 vessel, Zikatar said dismissively. We have hundreds. 1 vessel that just disabled 3 of your ships without suffering significant damage, Jack pointed out. And who said we only have 1? It was a bluff. The other ships in Earth's secret fleet weren't yet combat ready, but the Admiral had no way of knowing that. This changes nothing, Zikatar insisted, though Jack noticed uncertainty in his voice. The Hegemony does not retreat. Then the Hegemony will learn a harsh lesson today, Jack said. Lieutenant Dawson, target their engine core. 50%. Power. Target locked, Kate confirmed, her finger hovering over the firing control. Wait, Zikatar called out. Perhaps a tactical reassessment is in order. Jack raised his hand, signaling Kate to hold fire. I'm listening. We will withdraw to the outer system to regroup and consult with the Council of 13, the Admiral said. This is not a retreat. It is a strategic repositioning. Jack smiled slightly. Call it whatever you like, Admiral. You have 6 hours to move your fleet beyond the orbit of Neptune. Any Hegemony vessel remaining inside that boundary after the deadline will be considered hostile and engaged accordingly. This is not over, human, Zikatar warned. The Hegemony has conquered hundreds of worlds. We will not be deterred by 1 ship, no matter how advanced. Then I look forward to our next meeting, Jack said. 6 hours, Admiral. The clock is ticking. The transmission ended, and Jack turned to his crew. Their faces showed a mixture of elation and disbelief at what they had just accomplished. Status report, he ordered. Minor damage to our port hull, already repaired. Allen reported. Displacement drive needs 30 minutes to recharge fully. Weapons systems at 97% efficiency. The Hegemony fleet is moving, Ryan confirmed. Slow withdrawal toward the outer system. Are they really leaving? Olivia asked. Jack shook his head. No, they're regrouping just as the Admiral said. This isn't over, it's barely begun. But we won the first battle, Kate pointed out. We did, Jack agreed. And that's something humanity has never done before. Won a battle among the stars. He looked around at his crew, pride evident in his expression. Well done, everyone. Now let's get back to Earth and prepare for what comes next. This was just the opening move in a much longer game. On the Hegemony capital world of Zikatara, the Council of 13 gathered in their grand chamber. The circular room was designed to intimidate, with soaring ceilings and 13 elevated platforms arranged in a perfect circle. Each council member sat on their platform, looking down at the center of the chamber where Admiral Zikatar stood. Explain again how 1 primitive vessel disabled 3 of our warships, demanded Counselor Vexhar, the eldest of the 13. Admiral Zucatars. Gilflaps pulsed with agitation. The human ship possessed technology that should not exist. Their weapons manipulated gravitational forces in ways our scientists believed theoretically impossible. And yet, this supposedly primitive species achieved it, Counselor Maltek observed, her 4 eyes blinking in sequence. Our intelligence on Earth is clearly flawed. Not flawed, argued another counselor. Incomplete. We monitored their public space program, their visible military capabilities. We had no way of knowing. They were developing technology in secret. The question remains, Vexhar said, what do we do now? The hegemony has never retreated from a conquest. We did not retreat, Zucatar insisted. We repositioned our forces to assess the situation. Call it what you will, Maltek said dismissively. The fact remains that humans have technology that can challenge our military supremacy. This changes our calculations significantly. In the center of the chamber, a holographic projection appeared showing the Defiance battle with the hegemony ships. The Council watched in silence as the human vessel disabled 3 warships with apparent ease. Intelligence Officer Hayes, Vexhar called out, "Present your findings on the humans." A junior officer stepped forward, clutching a datapad nervously. "Yes, Counselor. I am Intelligence Officer Peter Hayes. I have compiled all available information on humans and their homeworld." "And," prompted Maltek impatiently. "Earth is what we would classify as a death world," Peter began. "High gravity by hegemony standards, significant radiation levels from their sun, extreme climate variations, and numerous natural disasters including earthquakes, storms, and volcanic eruptions. Many species evolve on harsh worlds," Zucatar noted. "True, Admiral, but what makes humans unique is their history." Peter activated another holographic display showing scenes from human history. Unlike most species that achieve space travel, humans never unified their planet. Their recorded history is an almost unbroken chronicle of warfare. They developed advanced technology while still fighting among themselves. You're suggesting this constant conflict made them more adaptable? More innovative? Asked Counselor Vexhar. Precisely, Peter confirmed. Most species develop space travel after achieving planetary peace. Humans developed it while still engaging in multiple conflicts. Their approach to technology has always been driven by competition and necessity. That explains their weapons, Zucatar muttered, but not how they developed such advanced technology without our knowledge. My analysis suggests they reverse-engineered technology from an unknown source, Peter said. Possibly one of our scout ships that went missing in that Sector 50 Earth years ago. The council chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. If humans could take our basic technology and improve it so dramatically in just 50 years, Maltek said slowly, what might they achieve given more time? There's more, Peter added. Our preliminary scans of their ship suggest their approach to technology is fundamentally different from ours. The hegemony develops technology in a linear, predictable pattern. Humans seem to make intuitive leaps, combining concepts in ways we wouldn't consider, making them unpredictable, Vexhar concluded. And dangerous, added Zucatar. The council chamber erupted in heated debate. Some members argued for an immediate, all-out assault on Earth before humans could build more ships like the Defiant. Others advocated for diplomatic recognition, suggesting that humans might be more valuable as allies than subjects. Enough, Vexhar finally shouted, bringing order to the chamber. We must approach this methodically. First, we need more information about human capabilities. Admiral, dispatch scout ships to observe Earth from a safe distance. Second, we will prepare a diplomatic mission while simultaneously assembling our largest battle fleet. We will be prepared for either outcome. And if they attack us first? Zucatar asked. Then we learn precisely what they are capable of, Vexhar replied grimly. Back on Earth, Jack stood in the Oval Office of the White House facing President Samantha Powell and her Security Council. The room was tense with a mixture of relief and anticipation. The hegemony fleet has withdrawn beyond Neptune's orbit, Jack reported, but our long-range sensors show they're not leaving the system. They're regrouping and likely waiting for reinforcements. How long do we have? The president asked. Based on our analysis of their FTL capabilities, reinforcements from their nearest base would take approximately 2 weeks to arrive, Commodore Susan Grant answered. We have a short window to prepare. What about our other ship? Asked the Chinese premier. The Defiant performed admirably, but one ship cannot defend an entire planet. We have 3 more vessels that will be combat-ready within 10 days, Susan replied. The Resolute, the Indomitable, and the Valor. Each has unique capabilities and weapon systems. Different designs, the Russian president questioned. Why not replicate the Defiant? A deliberate strategy, Susan explained. We anticipated that any advanced enemy would quickly develop countermeasures against a single weapon system. By developing multiple approaches, we ensure they can't adapt to all our capabilities at once. Jack nodded in agreement. The Defiant's gravity lance worked well in our first engagement, but the Hegemony will be analyzing that encounter and designing defenses. Our next ship, the Resolute, uses a completely different weapon system. And if they bring their entire fleet? The president asked. You said they've conquered hundreds of worlds. They must have thousands of ships. That's why we need to change the narrative, Jack suggested. Right now, they see us as a primitive species that somehow acquired advanced technology. We need to make them understand that challenging humanity directly will be costly, regardless of their numbers. How do we do that? Asked the president. We take the fight to them, Jack said simply. Instead of waiting for their reinforcements, we use our speed and stealth advantages to strike at key targets. Show them we're not just defending. We're capable of offensive operations as well. A risky strategy, the defense secretary noted. If we fail, we lose the element of surprise and potentially our best ships. More risky is waiting while they amass an overwhelming force, Jack countered. The Defiant can be at the nearest Hegemony outpost in 3 days. A surgical strike in and out, free a few of their subject worlds and return before their reinforcements even arrive in our system. The room fell silent as the world leaders considered his proposal. What do we know about these subject worlds? The president finally asked. Based on communications we intercepted during the engagement, Susan said, the nearest are the Centauri colonies. 3 planets colonized by a species that was conquered by the Hegemony about 30 Earth years ago. They maintain a minimal occupation force there. So these would be liberation missions, not just military strikes. The president mused. That plays better on the galactic stage, assuming there is such a thing. There is, Susan confirmed. The Hegemony isn't the only power in the galaxy, just the most aggressive in this sector. Other alliances exist that might view human emergence more favorably, especially if we position ourselves as liberators rather than conquerors. The president looked around the room, meeting the eyes of each world leader present. We need to vote. Do we authorize Captain Miller to take the Defiant on this mission to the Centauri colonies? One by one, they voiced their agreement. It's decided then, the president said, turning back to Jack. Captain Miller, your mission is approved. Show the Hegemony that humanity will not be conquered, and show the rest of the galaxy that we might be worth knowing. Jack saluted. We'll depart within 12 hours, Madam President. As he left the White House, Jack looked up at the night sky. Somewhere up there, the Hegemony was planning their next move against Earth. But for the first time since making contact, humanity was taking the initiative. The real fight was just beginning. 6 months after first contact with the Hegemony, the galaxy had changed dramatically. Jack stood at the viewport of the Defiant, observing the planet Arcturus IV below. The neutral world had been chosen for the upcoming diplomatic conference, its sprawling capital city now filled with representatives from dozens of worlds. Hard to believe how much has happened in such a short time, Olivia said, joining him at the viewport. Jack nodded. From unknown primitives to a major galactic power in half a year. Not bad for a species that supposedly couldn't build proper spaceships. Their mission to liberate the Centauri colonies had succeeded beyond all expectations. The Defiant had disabled the Hegemony occupation forces with minimal collateral damage, freeing 3 worlds in less than a week. When news spread of a single ship defeating hegemony forces, other subjugated worlds began to resist. "Admiral Miller, the diplomatic team is ready to transport to the surface," Kate called from her station. Jack still wasn't used to his new rank. "Thank you, Lieutenant Commander," he replied. Dawson's promotion was well-deserved after her gravity lance had proven so effective in their campaigns. Jack made his way to the transport bay where Ambassador Diana Lee waited with her team. Diana had been an inspired choice to lead Earth's diplomatic efforts. Her background in both international law and anthropology made her uniquely qualified to deal with alien cultures. "Admiral?" Diana greeted him. "Ready for the next phase of our adventure?" "As ready as I'll ever be," Jack replied. "Fighting was the easy part. Making peace is always harder. Especially with 17 newly independent worlds looking to us for protection," Diana added. "The alliance of free worlds sounds impressive, but keeping it together will be challenging." They boarded the shuttle and descended to the planet's surface. The conference center was a massive circular building with architecture designed to accommodate various species. Jack noticed security was tight, with both local forces and troops from multiple worlds standing guard. Inside the main chamber, representatives from over 30 worlds sat at a circular table. The hegemony delegation occupied one section, their expressions grim. Admiral Zikatar was among them, now serving as a military advisor rather than a fleet commander. At the center of the chamber stood a holographic display showing the current state of known space. The territory once fully controlled by the hegemony was now fragmented, with the newly formed alliance of free worlds claiming a significant portion. The neutral moderator, a tall, willowy being from a species Jack didn't recognize, called the conference to order. "We gather today to formalize relations between the hegemony, the Earth Alliance, and the newly formed alliance of free worlds. Ambassador Lee will present the human terms." Diana stepped forward, her posture confident. "Thank you. 6 months ago, the hegemony entered Earth's solar system and demanded our surrender. Today, we meet as equals to establish lasting peace." She activated a control, and the holographic display highlighted specific regions. "These are our terms. The hegemony will recognize the independence of all worlds that have joined the alliance of free worlds. A demilitarized zone will be established between our territories. Free trade will be permitted across all boundaries. Any world still under hegemony control that wishes to hold a referendum on independence may do so under neutral observation." The hegemony's lead negotiator, Counselor Maltech, looked displeased but not surprised. "The hegemony has existed for 10,000 years. In 6 months, humans have undone centuries of expansion. Why should we accept these terms?" "Because the alternative is continued conflict," Diana replied simply. "A conflict that evidence suggests you cannot win. Not because we have better ships or weapons, though we do, but because we've shown your subject worlds that resistance is possible." Jack watched the exchange with admiration. Diana was handling the negotiations perfectly, presenting strength without arrogance. "The humans speak truth," said a representative from one of the liberated Centauri worlds. "Our people fought the hegemony for years and failed. The humans freed us in a single day without a single civilian casualty. We choose to stand with Earth." Similar statements came from other liberated worlds. The hegemony delegation conferred quietly among themselves. During a recess in the proceedings, Admiral Zikatar approached Jack in a quiet corner of the conference center. "I have a question that has bothered me since our first encounter," the Admiral said. "Why did you hide? Your species could have announced itself to the galaxy years ago with the technology you possessed." Jack considered his answer carefully. "We were watching, learning. We saw how the hegemony treated lesser species. We decided to wait until we could negotiate from a position of strength." "A wise strategy," Zikatar admitted. "In 10,000 years, no species has challenged the hegemony as effectively as humans have in 6 months. We don't want to replace the hegemony as conquerors," Jack assured him. "We want a galaxy where different species can coexist without domination." "A noble sentiment," Zikatar said skeptically. We shall see if you maintain it once your power grows. When the conference resumed, Councillor Maltek addressed the chamber. The hegemony has considered the proposed terms. While we find them distasteful, we recognize the reality of our situation. We will accept the independence of the worlds currently in the Alliance. We will establish the proposed demilitarized zone. However, we cannot accept automatic referendums for our remaining worlds. A reasonable counteroffer, Diana acknowledged. We propose that any world seeking independence must first petition the Galactic Council for a monitored vote. This new Galactic Council will include representatives from the hegemony, Earth, and the Alliance of Free Worlds, as well as neutral parties. The negotiations continued for hours, but the framework of an agreement took shape. By the end of the EU9 day, the treaty was ready for signing. As representatives from all worlds affixed their signatures or equivalent marks to the document, Jack felt the weight of the moment. Humanity had not only survived its first contact with a hostile alien civilization, but had reshaped the galactic order in the process. Back aboard the Defiant, Earth's leadership held a private celebration. President Powell raised a glass in toast. To humanity's first interstellar treaty, and to the brave men and women who made it possible. What happens now? Asked the Russian president. We've created this alliance of free worlds. Are we ready for the responsibility that comes with it? We learn, we adapt, we grow, Jack said. Just as we've always done. The galaxy is vast and humanity's journey has only just begun. Later, standing alone on the observation deck, Jack watched the stars. Somewhere out there were countless other civilizations, some friendly, some hostile, most unknown. The Defiant had completed its first mission, proving humanity's place among the stars. What came next would be even more challenging, building a future where Earth could thrive in a complex galactic community. Captain to the bridge, came Olivia's voice over the comm. Long-range sensors have detected an unknown ship approaching from outside mapped space. Jack smiled. The adventure wasn't over. It was just beginning. On my way, he replied, turning from the viewport toward whatever new challenge awaited. The Defiant's engines hummed to life as Earth's flagship prepared to once again represent humanity among the stars. No longer as an unknown primitive species, but as a power that had changed the galaxy forever.